Hey everyone, this is me, the Undead Viking. I want to talk to you about this game right now. It is called Listit. Listit is a party card game, a social game, in which you have all these cards that have all these like little categories that are going to prompt you and the other people that are playing the game to make a list of items that you may or may not want to share with everyone, but getting in the spirit of the game, you're going to be writing down things that you think would satisfy the category that the list is asking for, and you are going to be betting on the fact that other people at the table are going to pick the exact same thing that you did. If you do that, then you are going to score points. You can even double down on one of your answers that you make a list on, and you'll get some bonus points, or possibly get some negative points, depending upon whether somebody else picked it or not. And then you're going to just play to a certain number of points, or a certain amount of rounds, or some time, or what have you. But as with all of these like kind of social games like this, it isn't really the point to win, right? It is the point to have fun while sitting at the table. So let me show you how the game is played. It is really, really quick, really, really simple, and then we'll come back here and I'll tell you what I think. So this is Listit, and this giant deck of cards is going to have all these things that you're going to be making lists about. And this card over here is the different categories that these things are going to fall under. Each person, beyond those cards, each person is going to have some sort of paper or pad, and they're going to need like some sort of writing utensil that they're going to be able to use to make their list. Whoever's turn it is, and after that person's turn, it'll just go around the table. And remember, this is a game that you can have like a ton of people playing. You could have 10 people playing this game. And this is definitely a game where the more people, the more fun it is. Because it isn't really, I'll talk about this more in my final thoughts, but it's a party game that, yes, you do have a winning condition, but the winning is kind of, not as important as like the fun. But I'll talk about that a little bit later. So before the game begins, you have to decide: are you going to play a certain number of rounds? Are you going to play to a certain score? You're just going to have some fun with it, and you can do whatever you want. You can say we're going to play 10 rounds, or you can say we're going to play for a half hour. You could say we're going to play for the first person to get to 20 points. Anything. All of those are completely fine as far as how the game is going to be played. So whoever's turn it is, they're going to pick one of these categories, and they're going to draw that card, and they're going to read off whatever that category is, and then each person is going to have to write out 5 things in a list. After you have 5 things listed, you will put your pen or your writing utensil down to signify you're done, and you watch everybody else. As soon as the second to the last person is done listing off their 5 and put their pen down, then everybody stops, meaning that one person is likely going to be stuck not having the full 5. If there's a rare, you could rarely have everybody get 5, but it probably won't happen every single time. So the 5 categories are kind of vague a little bit. So let me explain them a little bit. At the therapist is just kind of like a weird question, like that's going to be kind of opinionated, something that you would go to the therapist to talk about, like problems you have with teenagers, or like what you think people are imagining about you, stuff, weird questions like that like will kind of invade your personal thoughts a little bit, and you'll have to be sharing that. Not safe for work is just that. It's stuff that maybe a little bit adult themed. You're going to be talking about drugs. You're going to be talking about religion, and just stuff that like might make people uncomfortable talking about. So pick that one with care. People and stuff is just that, people and stuff. You'll be making lists about people and stuff. Typical is kind of weird. It's like typical ice cream, typical New York, typical sports played in winter, stuff like that. And you're making a list as far as that's concerned. And then whatever is literally just that. It's whatever. It's a grab bag category. So if I'm the first player and I just say I'm going to pick whatever as my category, I'm going to draw the card off the top and I'm going to list that off. And it says, our most common passwords. Well, let's look at the other ones. So, at the therapist, attributes that make us scared of someone. Not safe for work. People who you don't want to see naked. And you can already probably think of how these would be funny because you're going to be listing them off. People and stuff. Stuff you'll find in the sewer. And typical couple moments. So you'd have that, but we're going with our most common passwords. And so now everybody would go, and then so you sit there and you could then say, a lot of people for whatever reason still use password as their password. Last name, pet's name, birthday, and mother's maiden name. Let's go that way. So now I've got and I have horrible handwriting, so I apologize. So I've got my 5. Now I have the option right now, if I want to, I could look at one of these and I could say, I can guarantee you that somebody else at the table is going to pick that. So I could say birthday. Somebody is going to pick, a birthday as that. I can put a star next to that. Now, if somebody else does pick the same one, at least one other person lists that off, I'm going to get a bonus points for that answer. However, if nobody else does pick it, then I will actually get negative points. So I'm done. So I put my pen down, we wait, and everybody else goes. And then as the first player, I will read mine off first, and I'll say, okay, I picked password, and then if nobody else picked it, I'd say, last name, somebody else picks that, okay, cool, I can put that down. Pet's name, somebody said that, and then birthday, somebody else says, oh, well, I did pick that. Okay, so that would be worth 3 points if I got that. But if nobody else picked that, as far as theirs, then it would be worth negative 3 points. So you can see that. And then finally, mother's maiden name, somebody else picked it. So if this was a positive for that round, I would score 6 total points for that round. But if that was a negative, I'd score 0. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It's, not a tough game. Now the person to my left is the person, and then everybody else will share theirs, right? Because it's a sharing situation. Everybody shares their list, scores their points, and then you move on. Now, obviously, the fun of the game is trying to figure out what you think the other people are going to pick, but also the fun is the people reading off what they have, and having some good jokes and some laughs over what they had said. So let me just grab a few of these, and you can just kind of see some of the other categories. And you can see what gives you a guilty conscience, crimes that put you highest in the prison pecking order, celebs that hunt bananas, typical Scottish people, beautiful letters in the alphabet. So these are really all over the place. Stupid things you do when drunk, stuff we hide in the closet, things that make us fall in love. So you can see where, obviously, like I said, there are some questions in there that are going to be, not a good idea to play if you're going to be playing with kids. Now, I definitely played this with my family, and my daughter is 10 and my son is 6, but we didn't let them see the cards, right? And we made sure we didn't pick that category. And my wife and I would read these off. And they would get it, and that's one of the things I'll talk about here in my final thoughts. But the game is a lot of fun. It isn't about winning. It's about the answers. It's about the laughs. It's about the excitement of seeing what other people, of scribbling out your list as quickly as possible, trying to make sure you're not the one that gets in, and then the gamble, right? The gamble of whether or not somebody else is going to pick the one that you put a star on. A lot of fun. Let me talk about it a little bit more in my final thoughts. So, there you go. That's listed. Hey, so, like I said, the game is just fun. Some of the conversations that I had while playing this game, especially with my gaming group, which, we got a large group of people together to play it. We got people from all walks of life and genders and backgrounds and what have you. And I think that's where this game really, really shines. You have kind of a boisterous party atmosphere. You get people kind of excited about sharing what they have on their list. And that's where the fun is, right? Like trying to deduce what you think other people are going to pick, what other people are going to say, what other people are going to write down. And then you kind of have to play off what you know about them as well. And, I guess you can game the game a little bit, but, and I know if you really, really want to win, and I talked about that several times, about these games aren't really about winning, in my opinion. But you could, if you wanted to game the game, like, oh, somebody's going to gain close to winning, I better pick really, really way out there, ideas for these categories, right? So when they actually like make their list of really standard things and hoping they coincide with me, they're not going to get any points. Ha ha ha. But that's just, I think that's like ridiculous, frankly. The point of this game is obviously to get people to say something crazy, and then to like, and when they say that crazy thing, like you're like, here, let me just grab one here, card random here. Like, embarrassing reasons to visit the ER. That's the not safe for work one on this one. So let's say, rectal tearing. Okay, so that's funny, right? So somebody says that out loud and you're like, what? When, what? And that's that moment where you're kind of playing the game to have that fun, to have that excitement, to have the fact that everybody at the table is just, having a good time and laughing. Maybe, not really at somebody else's expense, but definitely, an inclusive atmosphere, an inclusive sense of being there, of being in that group, being in that group think, being in that laughter moment. And that's what these games are for. And Listit is a fun, exciting new idea, this spin on this kind of social card game that a lot of people are playing right now. And it's something that I know there's a lot of people that take their like board and card game time very, very serious. And they might turn their nose up a little bit at these party games, but honestly, I mean, like, some of the best times I've had in the last few years have been playing games like this, and this is definitely one of those that facilitates those fun times. So, and to show you that, actually, I'm planning on playing a big long session of this. I think this weekend I'm having there's a big board game card game meetup, and I'm gonna bring this. I'm gonna get a group of people together, and I'm gonna hopefully film us playing it, and I'm gonna upload that session. And after like when this, I think that, like I said, this is going into crowdfunding at Kickstarter. I'm gonna upload that session, and you're gonna be able to hopefully see a large group of people, having fun and playing the game. So there you go. That is Listit. Be on the lookout for that second video. And if you have any questions about it, please ask away. I'll be happy to answer those as best as I can. And thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and, well, I guess the next one too. So, alright, awesome. Until then.